Did you know that many famous serial killers lived quiet, normal lives? They were often our neighbors, our colleagues, people we passed on the street. Ted Bundy was a charming and intelligent man. He worked at a suicide prevention hotline. He even helped people who were feeling sad or lost. This is a strange and scary thought. It shows that evil can hide behind a friendly face. It makes us wonder about the people around us. Who can we really trust? This single fact opens a door into a very dark world. It is a world we are often drawn to. So, what exactly is true crime? At its simplest, true crime is a type of storytelling that tells us about real crimes that actually happened. It can be a book, it can be a podcast, it can be a documentary, it can be a film. Unlike fiction, where the stories are made up, true crime is based on real events and real people. It looks at the details of a case. It might focus on the police investigation. It might focus on the court trial. It might focus on the lives of the people involved. The goal is to give the audience a full picture of what happened, from the moment the crime was committed to the final outcome. It's a way of exploring the darkest parts of human behavior from a safe distance. True crime is not a new thing. Hundreds of years ago, people would gather to watch public trials, executions. They would buy pamphlets, ballads. These were like the early versions of today's true crime podcasts. In the 19th century, newspapers were filled with detailed reports of sensational murders. People would follow the cases day by day, just like we follow a series on Netflix. The technology has changed, but our interest in these stories has remained exactly the same through the centuries. One of the first modern true crime books was Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. Why are we so drawn to these dark stories? It seems strange, doesn't it? We are watching stories about terrible things happening to people, yet we can't look away. One big reason is simple curiosity. We are naturally curious about things we don't understand, especially human behavior at its most extreme. When we hear about a shocking crime, we want to know why it happened. What could possibly motivate someone to do something so awful? We are looking for answers. We hope that by understanding the why, we can make sense of a chaotic and sometimes frightening world. Another reason is that true crime can make us feel safer. By learning about the methods of criminals and the mistakes that victims made, we feel more prepared. We learn what to look out for. It's like we are studying for a test that we hope we never have to take. It gives us a sense of control. We believe that if we know how bad things can happen, we can take steps to prevent them from happening to us or the people we care about. There is also a thrill that comes with it. It's like riding a roller coaster. This is called vicarious experience. We get to feel the adrenaline without being in any real danger ourselves. Finally, many of us are drawn to the puzzle-solving aspect of true crime. We like to play detective. We listen to the evidence, we look at the clues, and we try to figure out who did it before the story reveals the answer. It's an intellectual challenge. We enjoy piecing together the timeline and trying to understand the motive. In a way, it's a form of active entertainment. We are not just passively watching. We are actively thinking and participating in the story as it unfolds. True crime has become a shared experience, connecting people from all over the world who are drawn to these real-life dramas. When we tell stories about real crimes, we have a big responsibility. These are not just stories, they are about real people whose lives were changed forever. It is very important to be ethical. This means we must always remember that the victims were real human beings. They had families, friends, hopes, dreams. We should not focus only on the killer or the gory details of the crime. The story should honor the victim's memory. It should tell us who they were as a person, not just how they died. This is the most important rule of ethical true crime storytelling. We must treat them with respect. This means we need to be careful with the details we share. Some details are important for understanding the case, but others are just there for shock value. We should avoid being too graphic or sensational. Sharing every gruesome detail can be disrespectful to the victim and their family. The goal is to inform and educate, not to scare or disgust people for entertainment. It's about finding the right balance between telling the truth and being sensitive to the people involved. It is also crucial to be accurate. When you are telling a true story, you must get the facts right. This means doing careful research. It means checking sources and making sure the information is correct. Spreading false information can be very harmful. It can hurt the families of the victims. It can damage the reputation of innocent people. It can even interfere with an ongoing police investigation. A responsible storyteller takes the time to make sure their story is truthful and based on solid evidence. Honesty and accuracy are the foundation of good, ethical, true crime content that respects everyone involved. Finally, we must think about the purpose of the story. Why are we telling it? Is it just for entertainment, or is there a deeper reason? The best true crime stories do more than just describe a crime. They might highlight problems in the justice system. They might raise awareness about a particular type of crime. They might teach us something about psychology or forensics. By having a clear and positive purpose, we can make sure that our fascination with true crime does some good in the world. When a terrible crime happens, the story doesn't end when the police find the killer. For the families of the victims, the pain can last a lifetime. They are the people who are left behind to deal with the loss. Their lives are changed forever in a single moment. They have to go through the police investigation. They have to face the media attention. They have to endure the court case. All of this happens while they are trying to grieve for the person they loved. It is an incredibly difficult and painful process. We must never forget that behind every true crime headline there is a family that is suffering from a deep and permanent loss. The media can make things even harder for them. Reporters might camp outside their house. Their personal lives might be discussed on the news. They are often asked to talk about the worst day of their lives over and over again. While some families want to speak out to keep their loved one's memory alive, others just want privacy to grieve in peace. The constant attention can feel like an invasion. It can make it very difficult for them to heal. This is why it is so important for journalists and storytellers to be respectful and sensitive when they approach the families of victims. Survivors of violent crimes also carry deep scars. These scars are not always visible on the outside. They may have physical injuries that take a long time to heal. They also have emotional and psychological injuries, anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. Now let's talk about a specific type of criminal that often appears in true crime, the serial killer. What makes someone a serial killer? The official definition from the FBI is someone who murders 3 or more people over a period of more than a month. There is a cooling-off period between the murders. This cooling-off period is what makes them different from a mass murderer, who kills many people at once in a single location. A serial killer's murders are separate events. During the time between killings, they often return to their normal lives, which is what makes them so difficult to catch. So what makes a person become a serial killer? This is a very complex question, and there is no single answer. Experts believe it is usually a combination of different factors. Many serial killers had very difficult childhoods. They may have experienced abuse, neglect, trauma. This doesn't mean that everyone who has a bad childhood will become a killer, of course. But for some people, these early experiences can plant a seed of anger and resentment. They may grow up feeling powerless and wanting to have control over others. There are also psychological factors at play. Many serial killers are diagnosed with psychopathy or antisocial personality disorder. This means they often lack empathy. They don't feel guilt or remorse for their actions. They see other people as objects to be used for their own gratification. They are often very manipulative and charming on the surface, which they use to lure their victims and hide their true nature from the people around them. It's important to remember that serial killers are very rare. They make up a tiny fraction of all homicides. However, their crimes receive a lot of media attention because they are so shocking and frightening. When investigators are trying to catch a serial killer, they look for clues in the way the crimes are committed. 2 very important concepts they use are the modus operandi, or MO, and the signature. The MO is what the killer does to commit the crime. It is the practical stuff. For example, how do they choose their victims? Do they break into houses or do they offer someone a ride? What kind of weapon do they use? The MO can change over time. As a killer gets more experienced, they might become better at committing the crime and avoiding capture. Their MO might become more refined. The signature, on the other hand, is very different. The signature is not about committing the crime, it's about why they do it. It comes from the killer's psychology and fantasies. It is something they do that is not necessary to kill the person. It might be a specific type of torture, leaving a certain object at the scene, posing the body in a particular way. Unlike the MO, the signature does not change. It is a ritual that the killer needs to perform to get emotional or psychological satisfaction from the murder. The signature is a direct link to the killer's mind and tells profilers a lot about their personality and motivation. Criminal profiling is a famous tool used by agencies like the FBI to help catch serial killers. Profilers look at all the evidence from the crime scenes, including the MO and the signature. They try to build a picture of the kind of person who might have committed the crimes. They make educated guesses about the killer's age, sex, job, and personality traits. For example, a very messy and disorganized crime scene might suggest a younger, impulsive killer who lives close to where the crimes are happening. A very neat and organized crime scene might suggest an older, intelligent killer who carefully plans their attacks. These profiles are not magic. They don't always point directly to the killer, but they can be a very useful tool for the police. They can help investigators narrow down a long list of suspects. They can give them ideas about where to look for the killer and how to approach the investigation. Real-life examples show how this works. In the case of the BTK killer Dennis Rader, he sent letters to the police and media. These communications were part of his signature. They revealed his need for attention and power, which helped profilers understand the kind of person they were looking for. By studying these patterns, we get a small glimpse inside the minds of these killers.